Oh, hi there, and welcome to another edition of Friday Night Lights. I'm Tom Malone, and joined by my usual panel of Johnny Ward and Calvin Lynch. How are you guys?
We're back.
We're back.
The dream team.
What an anticlimax! You know, suffering severe withdrawals from no Dundalk.
No racing.
No racing.
We've had no racing for 11 days.
Was the boozer closed?
The Royal Oak ran out of Guinness on Thursday of last week.
Well, that is a tragedy.
Yeah.
Down into the basement.
And Hop House. So we had to make do with,
Headlines from last week, Johnny drank the oak dry.
It wasn't actually, well, I did play a part the night before, but even in the snow it was very hard to actually walk to the local.
Did you get loads of Cheltenham prep done at least?
Not as much as I should have.
Gavin, you alright?
Yeah, good, yeah. Only one day to go.
Only one day to go.
To
Dundalk, yeah.
Good stuff. Right, let's start off then. Start off with this actually pretty decent sprint handicap here, 0 to 90. Anything jumping off the page, Gavin?
It's probably a two-horse race. You'd imagine Primo Uomo is returning from a break, as is Idyllic Acrylic. Too Sharp, 5 furlongs for Togaville. Wadood, first run for Davy Marnane. 1 over you, drawn 1. He always jumps out and tries to make the running. I'd say he'll get a solo. Togaville mightn't be able to go with him early on. Chris Hayes rides instead of the usual Ben Cohen. He might be able to stay in front. Plough Boy looks the danger. He won the last day. He's up £4. Between the two of them, maybe 1 over you.
Okay, Johnny?
The two-horse race, and I'm going for something entirely different.
Lovely.
So I don't think Togaville needs to lead. There's so much pace in this race. Pat Smullen, being the genius that he is, might be able to get a little toe into the race. And I'm going not so much for the trip here, but in terms of class, this horse would really outclass these, with the exception of the top horse, if he can deliver on the day, and I don't see why he can't. Anthony McCann's horses are going quite well.
Yeah, I'm sure there was a Cheltenham preview night in the Shabra one, and where surely one of these has been tipped up as a banker.
Togaville was probably one of the members of the audience that night. It's a fairly mad night, but hopefully it's a trappy race.
I'm with Primo Uomo, by the way. Record at Dundalk 2-2-2-1-9-1, and he won first time out last season as well. So pretty strong with Primo Uomo. And like ran behind Acapulco last time out, who lap the rest of these, to be fair.
Probably.
Let's go on to the claimer then at 6 o'clock, 6 furlongs ahead of them. Anything here?
It looks to be Rivellino.
Rivellino, yeah, jumped over.
That's not something you say very often.
No.
It looks to be all about Rivellino.
Yeah. Was second in the claimer back in November, drawn 14. It's been second to Invincible Riker, 4 to Togaville. The last time third to John S over 7. 6 shouldn't be a problem. Shawnee seems to have lost the plot a bit. He's way too keen in his races. There's a couple of others there. I think it's Iron Ryan was well beaten the last time in a claimer in Linkfield. Process of elimination. It's rated 73, drawn 1, Rivellino.
Yeah, and the claimer as well. The terms of the claimer quite well into.
Yeah.
Johnny, you?
Obviously,
with Rivellino?
Mr. Dancer should nearly win, but like your pal has been put in for 15 grand here, which is, he landed a bit of a touch there on the all-weather in England and did it snugly enough. But he's rated 54, and they put him in for nearly double what Rivellino is in for. So as a consequence of that, he actually has to give him like £7. Now, Rivellino, I think his first win in Ireland was in a claimer, and
6, yeah.
More or less what Gavin said. He's drawn 1, and his handicap form is good enough, and I think Shawnee has genuinely lost the plot at this stage.
That's not an unfair assessment, I think.
No.
Just become desperately disappointed.
6:30 handicap, by the way, over 7 furlongs. I think it's surely between Patrick Joseph or Joseph Patrick, is it?
The lock of the night.
Go ahead, John.
Well, certainly one of the best tonight, Patrick Joseph. 6 or 7 shouldn't really matter. Ran a blind of the last time, really well back, 6 to 4 shot. Just a horse to keep an eye on here is Tegel, which Billy Lee rides for Joseph O'Brien. This horse was backed off the boards when it was actually behind Highly Approved on its second start. Yeah. I think it played up a bit beforehand. Doesn't look straightforward, but one to keep an eye on the betting. But Patrick Joseph will almost certainly take the beating.
Gavin?
It's hard to see, Highly Approved winning. It's been beaten in handicap 65, 62, 61, 57. It won the last day in May. Now it's up to 66. So, and also Donica rides Lady Godiva instead of.
That was an interesting horse, because that horse is by Camelot, came out of Richard Hannon's.
Yeah.
5 runs for Richard
There's
Hannon.
one eye-catching run behind the really decent yoke Roger Charlton's, but the rest of that form doesn't.
It's funny with Joseph though. He's not afraid to take on lots of horses, even though he has a million as it is already.
Yeah.
He buys these cheap horses at the sales as well.
Patrick Joseph, yeah. I'd say 7 should suit. The last day completely missed the break over 6. It has run over 8, so I think 7's perfect. But it looks definitely the most likely winner, doesn't it?
You would think so. Fillies race have come in at 7 o'clock. Lots of old favourites in here.
There's only one horse you can go for.
Timia,
Has to be
Nivo,
Timia.
flawlessly my old friend. She's not going to get 7 furlongs though, but
I was having a look there flawlessly. All her 16 runs so far have been over 5 furlongs.
Yeah.
Your
she
favourite
stayed
horse
on,
in training.
yeah, but just maybe 6, but not 7, I don't think.
Yeah, so it's
Who
probably hard to
knows
say.
though? Maybe we make too much of the trip sometimes.
Yeah. If she stays, she'd have a chance. I'd go for Timia. The last day she ran deplorable there in early January the 5th. She must have been out New Year's Eve or something. She's won 3 handicaps, twice over 7. 7 is definitely her trip. She's drawn 6 here. She bounces back after a 2-month break. Timia.
Good stuff, Johnny.
It's all about Hope Lake here for me.
Hope Lake.
First start for the man Toomey, who landed a colossal gamble there recently with editorial, which obviously.
Yeah, we should have. He is some man to land a punt first time out as well.
He's also just a very good trainer.
His horse beat Churchill on debut as well, and then he sold it to Godolphin.
At the Curragh.
Master Trader, yeah.
That is a good shout.
Mr. Trader.
And Billy Lee booked. Comes out of Michael Halford's yard, but interestingly, Michael Halford tried this horse over a mile to a mile and 2.5. And the first start for Toomey, back to 7, a Shammerdale filly with adequate form to win the race. And I'm taking a bit of a punt, but I think she's very interesting.
And definitely one to watch if there's market support as well.
Yeah.
Okie doke, we have waited months for this. We have waited months. It's a pattern race, not just a pattern race, but a qualifier for the Kentucky Derby. Mendelssohn, by the way, Aidan O'Brien has said, could be their Kentucky Derby horse. So he'll get 20 points towards the qualification if he wins this. Do you think he will? I
found out earlier that the Kentucky Derby's on in early May, which I didn't realise. But Mendelssohn off 116. I think the main danger to me would be 3 and 4 pence. That's a full brother to Hit It a Bomb, who liked Dundalk, who won there before, won the Breeders' Cup. You'd imagine Ryan Moore coming over as a big pointer to Mendelssohn. He got well beaten behind C Henge at Doncaster, and then was second in the Dewhurst, 2.5 lengths ahead of these two fought out for
second,
third
third, and fourth in the Dewhurst here, yeah.
It has to give £5 to the Shamey Heffernan in 3 and 4 pence. Maybe that's a danger, but you'd imagine maybe Ryan Moore is going to win it.
He looked a monster in Dalmar when he won.
Yeah.
What do you make him, Johnny?
Yeah,
or anything else in this?
I'm actually in New York for the Kentucky Derby, and I'm over there for New York and Leitrim in the Connacht Championship, but I was kind of contemplating going to the Kentucky Derby the night before.
Sure, it's nearly as far from Dublin to New York as it is New York to Kentucky.
It's not quite that far, but it is. It's about an 11-hour drive or something like that. It's not really feasible, but it could be a bit of a party in New York watching. And if Mendelssohn comes over, maybe Aidan will join us on the Sunday for a few beers in after New York.
Well, he might join you. I don't think he'll have the few beers though.
Well, probably not. But Mendelssohn, in fairness, he was very good in Delmar. These are all more or less Warfront / Scat Daddy bred horses who would potentially handle dirt if they ended up in the Kentucky Derby. To have 3 horses rated over 110 at this time of year in Dundalk, you'd forget the flats actually starting early next year.
Yeah, I know. This fella cost $3 million a yearling in Keeneland, by the way.
I was at the Curragh when he won his maiden, and Aidan was talking about him in a manner that suggests he would go on to better things. Yeah. And just, you'd imagine...
Huge, big, imposing physical horse.
Gorgeous horse. And
horse.
If Ryan Moore is coming over, you'd imagine... I would be afraid of 3 and 4 pence. I actually backed him in the Dewhurst, and he ran a blinder.
Just chin, wasn't he?
He was just done for third, back to each way, but he's an improving horse as well, but it's Mendelssohn for me.
And the other 5 just don't look up to that class, obviously.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, like I said, second, third and fourth in the Dewhurst and the rest, but so are you with Mendelssohn, or...?
Yeah.
Yeah?
I think the danger is 3 and 4 pence.
Yeah. Gets on to 7th on the leaderboard for the Kentucky Derby if he wins this.
You've done your research.
A little bit. Right, we're going to come back down to earth now, the 8 o'clock, but handicap over 7 furlongs here. A few lost souls in here. What you make of it?
A few lost souls? That's an interesting way of putting it. Are you talking about us or the horses?
Dinkum Diamond, maybe.
We're talking about, Kentucky Derby. We have to talk about Darren Bunyan, who's doing very well in Arabia, actually, with Hit It a Bomb. Hit It a Bid, isn't it?
Hit It a Bid, yeah. So Hit the Bid.
Hit the Bid, rather. And Grey Danube would be probably in these top few horses, certainly apart from him. And just basically, simple as, didn't get the mile last time and loves this track, has a fair chance in a race bereft of rivals.
Yeah, I think Great Danube has a good chance drawing 6. As Johnny says, 7 is definitely going to suit better. It's going to bounce out. I'm going to go for Arborfield to get the better of it. It's drawn 2 with Pat Smullen. It's won 6 times at Dundalk, 5 at 7 furlongs. It won a handicap in November off 75. It's in here off 74. I'd imagine that he'll probably sit first or second. Yeah. And Arborfield in a tricky race. Yeah, I'm going to give Dinkum Diamond an each way squeak. Thought he looked like he showed some of his old spark, and he's only around about 40 pounds off his top. Right, on to the 1.5 handicap. Well, yes. Yeah. We are like founding members of the Ben Cohen fan club. Race actually, because it's his horse I'm tipping. Yeah, well, absolutely. Cohen on Carried was definitely something that stood out for me as well. Hasn't won off a rating so high, and generally I don't like backing fairly exposed horses with that profile, but this horse has been so consistent, and the last day, I think 2 runs back over a mile, and the last day back over his regular trips a mile 2.5. But this trip is fine. He's only won 4 times in his life, and 3 of them were over this trip. Yeah, and I just like the way he goes about his business. He's straightforward,
And because now he takes 7 off, in theory he may well be able to win off 78. You know, a few fairly reliable characters there. Sharjah has been about the block, I suppose. Angus, I don't know if you read Richard O'Brien's blogs, but they're brilliant. They're just great, like, and so different. He's exasperated by this horse. He doesn't know where to go anymore. So he stepped him up drastically in trip.
Just to try something different.
His blog will probably, you know, talk about Angus being frustrating this week.
Carried a great chance. One horse to keep an eye on there is Thomas O'Malley. Had 1 run for New Connections, the Finns. Stayed on eye-catchingly the last day over 10.5. We'll love the step up to 12. The horse I'm going to go for is Rock on Dandy. It won twice, and then the next 2 runs, they kind of sat it up in 3rd and 4th, and he was doing way too much. He was way too keen. The last day over 2 miles, they changed the tactics. They dropped him out completely. It was only a small field, but he was sat last. He settled much, much better. I'd imagine that this time they're going to drop it out again. Dylan Hogan, I think, takes the ride. Back to 1.5 miles. It only got £6 the last day, I think. And so Rock on Dandy for me.
And the trainer has been the star of the series at Dundalk.
Star trainer this winter is probably him. Star jockey, possibly Ben Cowan.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
He's certainly won more races than his county Mayo have won All Ireland.
Oh, look, he can never let it go. Jeez. All right, let's get on to the last one. Of course, Johnny, Galway man, never to let an opportunity lie. And football, of course, since
back in the day.
Absolutely right. Qualified riders handicap to close here. What do you fancy?
The bet of the day for me is Uncle Henry. Stepping up into 2 miles. It's only had 3 runs. Was 3rd, first time out over 10.5. Then it won at 12.5 maiden when it looked like it was just a complete stare. The last day went off 2-1 tight in a 1.5 mile handicap, but it's very hard to win a handicap first time. I think the step up to 2 miles will be a big help. Tom Hamilton claims £5. It also gets a £3 allowance for being a 4-year-old, so Uncle Henry. Johnny?
I thought this was very tough. I wouldn't be certain he'll get the 2 miles, and I went with Temasek Star. Lisa O'Neill.
Yeah, I'm going to go with Temasek Star as well, yeah.
I backed Lisa a bit of after time in here. She rode a horse for Ollie Murphy on the all-weather. She went over all the way to Wolverhampton for 1 ride in a
last week,
60, and the horse duly obliged despite finding a bit of traffic. So she's gotten a flavour for that now ahead of her big Cheltenham next week.
Big week for her next week,
having won on Tiger Road last year. So I'm with Lisa. Who actually, whose brother is stationed opposite the Royal Oak, the pub we were talking about. He's a Garda in Kilmainham.
Good stuff. Yeah. We'll get the inside track on that next week then. Right, we're going to get our best bets of the weekend, or best bets on Friday card. Go on, Gavin, start with you.
Uncle Henry, the Nap. The next best, Rock on Dandy, and we'll say Mendelssohn.
Johnny?
So I've gone for 3 totally different horses there. One of these 6 has to win. Hope Lake, Nap. Next best, Patrick Joseph. 3rd, Great Danube.
Good stuff. I'm with Mendelssohn, Carried and Primo Welmo. Thanks for watching, thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week for more Friday Night Lights.